Tariffs, sell-off, liquidations. Bitcoin and the S&P absolutely tanked after Trump's surprise 100% tariff announcement on Chinese imports. 19 billion in crypto positions wiped out in 24 hours. The funny thing is, Trump walked back his devastating 100% announcement on Saturday afternoon. So was this the beginning of the bear, or is this just another case of price manipulation? The last time everyone called Bitcoin dead during the China mining ban, it came back stronger. And while traders panic, the whales are quietly buying massive amounts of Bitcoin. So, what comes next? Welcome back to Simply Bitcoin's Satoshi. I'm Sophie. We cut the noise and bring the signal. Today, we're answering the question every normie is asking. Did Bitcoin just break? Or is it doing what it always does? Shake off the weak hands and keep building in the background. Last Friday, on October 10th, Trump announced he was slapping a 100% tariff on Chinese tech imports. Wall Street panicked. The S&P had its worst day since the last time this happened in April. Then, Bitcoin and crypto followed almost immediately. Over $19 billion in leveraged altcoin positions got liquidated, and Bitcoin dropped from 125,000 to 108 or even 104,000, depending on which exchange you were looking at. And then, just as panic hit max volume, over the weekend, Trump tweeted, "Don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it." Markets immediately began to react towards the positive, proving how sentiment can flip in minutes. Everyone screaming, "It's over!" But history says otherwise. Let's go back in time for a sec. China's mining ban in 2021 erased half the network overnight. Prices collapsed 50%. Hash rate cratered. And yet, within months, Bitcoin was stronger, more decentralized, and hitting new highs.
Honey Badger don't give a shit, just takes what it wants.
It feels like this happens every 4 years. Every cycle has its end of Bitcoin moment. The COVID crash, the FTX scandal, Mt. Gox. And yet, every time it recovers because its fundamentals don't depend on one company, one country, or one policy.
Bingo.
Even this week's tariff panic and reversal seem to prove how macro events are very temporary for the most part. Bitcoin doesn't issue tweets, it just keeps going. You know, the saying, TikTok next block.
Bitcoin doesn't need any special privileges or help by the state. Bitcoin's going to win because of its incentives and because of its characteristics.
Well, that's correct. I would just add that governments need Bitcoin. So that's absolutely true, but it's not the reverse. And so I think that people get confused. They think that we're somehow lobbying for special favors when really what we're doing is we're lobbying for the public interest, right? Which is that as citizens of this country, we want a government that is not dysfunctional. We want a government that is actually, performing its duties. Now, we can get into a debate about anarcho-capitalism versus minarchism and all of that. I don't think that the general public is interested in that debate. We kind of have to accept that reality as well and look at what's good for the Commonwealth.
When traditional markets wobble, people rediscover why hard assets like Bitcoin exist. Peer-to-peer borderless money, no central gatekeeper. With Bitcoin, you can move liquidity 24/7, while on a fiat standard, banks, exchanges, or governments restrict access. Sometimes even during hours of operation, let's be real. They're super annoying. To me, Bitcoin's utility becomes more obvious when markets seem to fail. Sure, the momentary dump is a shock.
I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
But in the long run, while politicians talk tariffs and tweet reassurances, Bitcoin just keeps doing its thing, which is settling value between people directly. Listen to the GOAT Max Keiser explain why Bitcoin is superior to both gold and fiat.
Matter of fact, let me explain why Bitcoin is a superior form of money than gold. Okay? I'll do that right now. Both fiat money and gold are inferior to Bitcoin for one very simple reason, that with a Bitcoin transaction, it is also simultaneously the settlement. You don't have that with fiat, you don't have that with gold. If I do a transaction in gold, the gold has to be verified. If I do that in fiat, that fiat has a verification level, and we see that in the repo market. Because banks don't trust each other, repo rates are skyrocketing because you have to settle these trades. Until a trade is settled, it doesn't really count. With Bitcoin, when you do a Bitcoin transaction, the transaction is the settlement. It is the settlement. That's what makes it better money than gold or fiat. It's just as scarce, it's just as divisible, it's just as portable, it's just as desirable, except it has a built-in settlement layer. It is part of the transaction. That's what these frickin' guys don't understand. Like, Peter Schiff, he's completely clueless when it comes, because he's never spent even 5 minutes looking at it. He just mouths the same thing over and over and over again.
Okay, Max, we got you. Before we dive into what's really driving Bitcoin adoption beneath the market chaos, here's how to make your Bitcoin actually work for you safely. If you're stacking sats, you need Bitcoin-backed services you can trust. That's why we roll with Ledn, the global leader in Bitcoin-backed lending. Ledn has issued over $9 billion in loans since 2018 and a perfect record of protecting client assets. Why is a Ledn loan different? Collateral is not lent out to generate interest, no credit checks, funds in 24 hours, no monthly payments, repay whenever you want. And proof of reserve reports verified by a top accounting firm are published every 6 months. Ledn gives Bitcoin holders a secure, transparent way to unlock liquidity without selling. When you sign up with Simply Bitcoin, you get 25 basis points off your first loan. Learn more at learn.ledn.io/simply. Now, let's get back to the show.
I did say Bitcoin, because we were talking about Bitcoin then, was the domain of money launderers and thieves. But, the markets teach you have to always relook at your assumptions. There is a role for crypto in the same way there's a role for gold. That is, it's an alternative.
Did Larry Fink just admit that he was wrong about Bitcoin for years and that, quote, there is a role for Bitcoin the same way there is a role for gold? Rumors on X are even speculating that BlackRock might have even been openly buying this dip. Donald Trump was also revealed in a Forbes article to now be one of the largest Bitcoin holders on the planet. And at the state level, Detroit, Texas, and Colorado are all building strategic Bitcoin reserves or tax payment programs. That's massive.
If you have permissionless control under underlying property, to your point, that sounds like you're now sovereign. You're now a group of people running code, so agreeing to a rule of law, funding, paying fees to power projectors to defend your access. You're now creating a new sovereign organization, a new sovereign group of people. So, in my opinion, Bitcoin is not just property, it's the whole stack. It's the whole tech stack. It's the government, it's the military, and it's the money and the property. And the least impressive part, in my opinion, is the money and the property, because any Joe Schmo can build some shitcoin, but to build a badass power projection military defense architecture over that to preserve permissionlessness and sovereignty over that property is the beautiful thing.
But let's zoom out, because Bitcoin's fundamental power has always been about people, peer-to-peer adoption, the freedom to transact directly without asking permission from a bank, an exchange, or a government. That's the heartbeat of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is internet money. It's a system of money that exists on the internet, was created on the internet, and it allows you to send and receive value the same way you can send and receive an email anywhere in the world, instantaneously, without intermediaries. And that's kind of what you see at first glance. Behind that, it's a whole platform. It is, as the title of the book says, the Internet of Money. It is a set of protocols that allow you to basically exchange value with other people. But you can do a lot more with it than just that. Most people will use it as a currency. It's basically money that you can transmit from your smartphone to somebody else's smartphone directly, just like cash, but electronic.
That was Andreas Antonopoulos, one of Bitcoin's OGs and original educators, spreading the signal before most of us even knew what a Satoshi was. His message still hits today. While institutions like BlackRock and Trump make headlines for number go up and down, we can't ignore the action happening on the streets. Jack Dorsey Square just opened Bitcoin payments for 4 million merchants. Instant. No fees for the first year, and lightning fast, because it uses lightning, haha, it's a pun.
This is no time to be laughing.
Whatever, I'm moving on. Gemini and Fold are turning everyday purchases into sats. And my favorite story, Wallet of Satoshi is back in the US, giving people true self-custody again. So yes, the big names might drive the headlines, they might even drive the market, but the network is continuing to grow peer-to-peer. That's Bitcoin's origin story, and it doesn't change. It just keeps moving forward. These are the steps towards true hyper-Bitcoinization. And to be honest, you might just not be bullish enough. Before we wrap, let's talk about where the signal meets the machines that power it all. Mining Disrupt 2025 is almost here, and you don't want to miss it. The biggest Bitcoin mining event of the year hits Dallas, Texas, November 11th through the 13th. The biggest names, next generation rigs, the merge of Bitcoin and AI, it's the signal you won't get anywhere else. Grab tickets with promo code SimplyBitcoin for 20% off, and we'll see you there at Mining Disrupt 2025. So yeah, the market crashed for a little bit, but did Bitcoin survive? For now, absolutely. Tariffs, bans, tweets, and policy pivots. This asset was literally built to withstand chaos. If anything, every crisis just reminds people why hard assets like Bitcoin exist. So, what do you think? How long till it recovers back to all-time high? Drop your prediction in the comments and let's see who nails the bounce. That's it for my show today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the show with a friend who thinks it's over. We love to turn skeptics and the non-believers. I'm Sophie. This is Simply Bitcoin Satoshi. And until next time, stack, slay, and stay bullish, baby.